The time has come to revisit my favorite arcade games from my childhood, where lifelong memories were made, one quarter at a time. The original 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat-em-up, based on the animated show, is my favorite arcade game of all time. I've beaten this game countless times, and anytime I need a dose of nostalgia, this is one of my go-to games. The catchy theme song, signature cowabunga sound effect, pizza power-ups, and memorable boss battles bring me plenty of nostalgic joy. This game was released at the height of the Ninja Turtles' popularity and is Konami's highest-grossing arcade game ever. Its massive success can be credited to its 4-player cooperative gameplay, vibrant graphics, and strong tie-in with the hit animated series. The popularity surrounding the release of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie in March 1990 also helped enable the game to become a worldwide hit. The Ninja Turtles arcade game does justice to its source material and remains one of the top 10 greatest licensed video games ever released. Pac-Man's influence on the video game industry cannot be overstated. It launched the maze chase game genre and is one of the earliest games to feature cutscenes. Pac-Man was the first video game with power-ups, and Pac-Man himself is one of the original video game mascots. The simplicity and brilliance of Pac-Man lie in its game design. Pac-Man was intentionally designed to appeal to everyone, including non-gamers. The ghosts, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, each have distinct personalities and represent one of the earliest uses of game AI. Pac-Man is the highest-grossing arcade game of all time, solidifying its legacy as a video game icon. The name Street Fighter is synonymous with fighting games and sparked my love for the fighting game genre. Despite the low success of the original, Street Fighter II stormed onto the arcade scene in 1991 and changed the gaming landscape of the 1990s. Instead of solo players chasing a high score, Street Fighter II ignited the one-on-one fighting game craze. I remember countless times going to the arcade and seeing crowds of people gathered around a Street Fighter II cabinet, watching two players competing for Street Fighter supremacy. Street Fighter II: The World Warrior introduced 8 playable characters: Ryu, Ken, Guile, E. Honda, Blanca, Chun-Li, Zangief, and Dhalsim, each with unique movesets and special moves. Guile has always been my favorite Street Fighter character. Street Fighter II revolutionized the fighting game genre, and due to its immense success, inspired a wave of fighting game franchises, such as Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown, and The King of Fighters. Galaga is one of the arcade games that I've played the most in my life. There's yet to be an arcade that I've entered, and Galaga is present, that I've not stopped to play it. Galaga was the sequel to Namco's 1979 game Galaxian, and is one of the first games with a bonus stage. This game built upon its predecessor with dynamic enemy patterns, faster action, and strategic depth. Galaga is one of the most beloved arcade games of all time, and is arguably the best shoot-'em-up game ever. It reinvented and redefined the vertical shooter, and remains one of the most infinitely timeless and replayable video games in history. Galaga has also been featured in films like 1983's War Games and 2012's The Avengers.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
More than 4 decades later, the legacy of Galaga continues, not just in remakes and compilations, but also in contemporary indie titles like Dead End City. Galaga will always be one of my favorite arcade games of the 1980s. The original Metal Slug is my favorite Neo Geo game and run-and-gun shooter of all time. Released in 1996 by SNK, Metal Slug set itself apart from other action games of its era with its unique blend of tongue-in-cheek humor and intense run-and-gun gameplay. Metal Slug's death scream sound effect is iconic, and its hand-drawn pixel art adds to the game's humorous, over-the-top tone. Prisoners cheerfully reward you with weapons, and enemy soldiers scream comically as they flee. The success of Metal Slug helped spawn many sequels and influence countless titles in the run-and-gun genre. 30 years later, Metal Slug is still an arcade legend and a reminder that great game design doesn't age when it's built on fundamentals done exceptionally well. The first video game I ever remember playing is Tetris in the arcade. I played countless puzzle games in my life, but nothing has ever come close to touching the timeless gameplay of Tetris. Tetris is one of the most transcendent games in video game history. First released in 1984, Tetris is often credited as the first popular puzzle video game, a status it still holds in 2026. As the Pac-Man game with the Nintendo Game Boy, Tetris played a pivotal role in revolutionizing portable gaming. Tetris also holds the Guinness World Record for the most ported video game ever, with 220 official versions on 70 different platforms. As of 2025, Tetris is the best-selling video game in history, with 520 million copies sold. Tetris has become a benchmark for accessible, addictive game design and has inspired countless games like Dr. Mario, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, and Bust-A-Move. In the annals of video game history, Tetris is arguably the most important and influential game ever created. Final Fight was initially conceived as a sequel to the original Street Fighter and given the working title Street Fighter 89. However, Capcom scrapped that idea and evolved Final Fight into a beat-em-up. Unlike Double Dragon, which features characters with identical movesets with only color differences, Final Fight has 3 unique playable characters, Cody, Hagar, and Guy, each with differing fighting styles and special moves. Hagar has always been my favorite Final Fight character. Final Fight's commercial success was a big shot in the arm to Capcom, who was struggling financially. Final Fight also boasts the most iconic arcade continue screen ever. When players run out of lives, their character is shown strapped to a chair with a lit bundle of dynamite in front of them. Final Fight's impact on the gaming industry cannot be overstated. It's one of the best beat-em-ups ever, and in my opinion, one of the top 10 greatest arcade games ever created. Mortal Kombat was released into arcades in 1992 as Midway's answer to Capcom's Street Fighter II. The digitized characters, bloody combat, and gruesome fatalities were unlike anything my 7-year-old self had ever seen. Due to its graphic violence, the U.S. Senate showed gameplay footage of Mortal Kombat and Night Trap during congressional hearings on video game violence. The resulting public and political backlash led to the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, the ESRB. Mortal Kombat was the kind of game that fascinated children and horrified parents. I have always preferred the Street Fighter franchise to Mortal Kombat, finding the gameplay to be more balanced and technically refined. However, Mortal Kombat was able to distinguish itself with its darker tone and graphic style. Mortal Kombat is one of the most legendary arcade games, a game that every 90s kid still remembers. The X-Men arcade game, developed and published by Konami in 1992, allows players to control one of 6 selectable X-Men characters, each with their own unique special moves: Wolverine's claw slashes, Cyclops' optic blast, Nightcrawler's teleportation, Colossus's cannonball jump, Storm's lightning bolt, and Dazzler's sonic light blast. Its legacy is built on the groundbreaking 6-player cooperative gameplay made possible through a dual-screen deluxe cabinet that allowed up to 6 players to play together in real time, a rarity in those days. The game's Rogues Gallery was equally impressive, featuring villains like Pyro, the Blob, Juggernaut, Mystique, and Magneto. The 1992 X-Men arcade game brought the X-Men universe to life with bright, comic book-style visuals. It remains one of the greatest X-Men video games and one of the definitive arcade games of the 1990s. I love light gun games. When Time Crisis hit arcades in 1995, it redefined the light gun genre. The foot pedal mechanic added a dose of strategy to the gameplay. For the first time, players controlled exposure, ducking into cover, then stepping out to shoot. Time Crisis added pressure. Instead of endless enemies, Time Crisis used a countdown clock. You weren't just aiming, you were racing the game itself. Time Crisis also boasts crisp visuals and a heavily cinematic style, weaving a James Bond-esque story told between levels with high-quality cutscenes. Time Crisis delivers an unforgettable arcade experience. The game's first-person on-rail shooter format has inspired countless video games since its initial release. Time Crisis is my pick for the best light gun shooter ever. This concludes my series on my favorite video games from my childhood. Be sure to check out the first 2 videos I made on the NES and the Super Nintendo. And if you haven't already, remember to hit that subscribe button. This has been the Gamer Poet, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.